right through the whole stage. Stand there. Just follow everybody.
Folks, please take your seats. We would like to begin on time. Those of you who have not been able to find seats, there are another 500 seats upstairs. Please take your seats now. You'll have a chance. No, don't tell me what's
Yes, is that okay?
Yeah. Here, you know, my grandfather established the Chashroma. We have been here from the cradle.
Well, let me. Do you want to say that actually? I just said you.
No, I'll say it when it's over.
Yeah.
Just to make sure I'm the grandson of Chief Rabbi. So I heard something.
אתם 16.
אני מספר 13. לא היה שבוע מוצלח במיוחד.
So we need to start. I think that's it. We need to start.
אתה הבאת את זה לאמא שלי.
Yeah, no. Guys, we need to start. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Naftali. How are you? Okay. Sorry, guys. We have to start.
Press please down.
Are we start as the plan or we do a tikva first?
No, starting.
If I may have your attention, please. While we get large turnouts for our lectures, this is a little bit larger than usual. So please cooperate with us. I asked the media, the photographers, not to come up here during the program. Please don't force us to call security to have you removed. We want to cooperate with you, but please. First important announcement that I am, as a courtesy to the person sitting speakers to the evening, please turn off your cell phones now. Some people, even though they hear the announcement, don't turn off their phones, and it's very disturbing. Simple courtesy, please turn off your telephones. The Great Synagogue holds a series of lectures during the course of the year on current events. We've had some of the top speakers in the country and from the United States and elsewhere addressing these crowds. The next one will take place February 16th. It'll be an incredible program. Malcolm Hogan, Executive Chairman of the Council of Presidents of American post the elections, time to address 2 weeks, February 16th, 3 weeks. The nature of the program will be that each of the participants representing their parties will have the opportunity to speak for 5 minutes and describe their offering to the public. At the end of that period, there'll be a Q&A. There's a microphone up here. We ask you to come up here, state your question. Please do not make enough of it. Speech, and we'll go to the next questionnaire. State your question succinctly, simple, address it to the person that you want to respond. We'll try and get an answer for you. But speeches during that period. The program will be moderated by Steve Lind, editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. He came here from visiting his father in the hospital. So I think everyone will join me in wishing him a refuah shalema, a speedy recovery. I will not announce the participants or the many very, very prominent guests who are here tonight, ambassadors and others. I simply take the position that anybody who came is an important yourself that evening. The motto of the synagogue is one people, one Israel. Going into very, very important elections that will determine the future, the soul, and the security of the country. Let's approach it from the perspective of one Israel. We're all part of it. We work very closely with the AACI. Those of you who were here a week ago when Mayor Don Kopp was interviewed by David Horowitz know that these programs are very well attended. But one of the organizations that really works with us closely on this is the AACI. Just for a show, how many of you are members of the AACI? Obviously an important factor in the Jewish life of Jerusalem. The director is a very close personal friend and has done an incredible job in working to make these kinds of programs available. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my good friend, David London, to introduce the program.
Good evening. On behalf of the Association of the Stadiums in Israel, the Jerusalem Post, the Jerusalem Great Synagogue, I also want to take a second to thank our good friend, Asher Shapiro, the president of the Jerusalem Great Synagogue, for his vision and for this evening, for hosting this evening. Thank you. 25 years, AACI and the Jerusalem Post, as a public service to the English-speaking community, has organized these election events. Our goal is for you, the voter, to be able to go to the polls on Tuesday, January 22nd, knowledgeable and informed about the parties and the candidates who are asking for your vote. This evening is the culmination of a series of election events throughout Israel, which included events in Tel Aviv, Netanya, Ra'anana. Unfortunately, the events were canceled due to the lack of participation of some of the parties. AACI's president, Asa Cohen, vehemently protested these cancellations. We felt that if the South could be deemed important enough to be on the receiving end of so many missiles, they were important enough to have the parties make the effort to attend. In Jerusalem, AACI hosts activities monthly in our wonderful home, Dr. Max and Gianna Glassman Family Center. Our activities throughout Israel, but especially in Jerusalem, the active hub for the community in Jerusalem and around the country. However, the issues that drive it by our who make the complex facts of life a little easier to understand and navigate for both to see. Getting crucial information to our members and community is one of AACI's hallmarks. As we saw just recently, with missile strikes in the South and Jerusalem areas, wars, earthquakes, terror, and natural disasters are real threats. We don't like to think of the role of caring for our community and noting that there was virtually no comprehensive material or information in English. The handbook, which has been used by almost 40,000 people. 2013 brings new challenges, especially for U.S. citizens, as there are many changes in IRS reporting requirements. To stay aware and up to date on AACI's programs and activities, kosher travel in Israel and abroad, and the many issues affecting new e-newsletter, www.aaci.org.il. As always, AACI is here for you both in the good times and the not so good times. If you are not yet members, we look forward to joining the AACI family. A Hebrew language investigative TV show which dealt with corruption, my 18-year-old Sabra son, Raphael, who was about to start his army service, commented to me that he couldn't believe the amount of graft that goes on in Israel. Don't worry, he doesn't know what the word graft means. Around the same time, journalists contacted me, trying to pigeonhole me that about the English-speaking community and its voting patterns. I want to say loudly that English speakers vote across the entire spectrum of Israel's political parties. However, while we may have many different political philosophies, we all voluntarily left our homes in the rest of the world and came to live and build our lives in the state of Israel. What brought us here and keeps us here, even during the difficult times, is a strong love for Israel. So our political and religious views may not be the same, but what unifies us is the need to seriously fight against the rule of law needs to apply to all citizens of Israel. That disrespect, incitement, and violence must be stopped and corrected. You, the candidates seated behind me, are asking for our vote. Please know that the people you are addressing this evening passionately love our country. I hope you will be worthy of our vote, including my son's vote and others like him as they start their service in the IDF. There are many options to choose from, but the most important thing is to exercise your democratic right for your party. We hope tonight's event helps you in that decision. I'm proud to be introducing our moderator this evening. Not only is he a great journalist and MC, but he's also a great guy. Steve Lindy is editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. Steve was appointed in July 2011 after serving the Jerusalem Post for 14 years as managing news and night editor. He also served previously at Israel Radio's English language news as director, editor, reporter, and newsreader for over 21 years. Born in Zimbabwe and raised in South Africa, he has a graduate degree in sociology and journalism, the latter from the University of California at Berkeley. Steve made Aliyah in 1987, has served in the IDF, and has lived in Jerusalem for the past 21 years. I now turn the program over to Steve.
Erev Tov and good evening. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How wonderful it is to see so many people gathered in this special place, the Jerusalem Great Synagogue, for a political debate a week before the Israeli elections. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this special event co-sponsored by the Jerusalem Post, AACI, and the Jerusalem Great Synagogue. Thank you to our hosts, Asher Shapira, the chairman of the synagogue, Rabbi Zev Lanton, to David London, the executive director of AACI, to all their staff, and to all our staff at the Jerusalem Post for preparing tonight's event. A special thanks to our speakers for caring enough about us Anglos to make the effort to come here tonight. Yuli Edelstein, Likud Beitenu. Naftali Bennett, Beit Yehudi, Jewish Home. Aryeh Eldad, A Strong Israel, Otzma Yisrael. Isaac Bougie Herzog, Labour. A surprise showing from Alon Tal, Hatnua, the Tzipi Livni party. Dov Lipman, Yesh Atid. Dov Menachem from Shas. And Laura Wharton from Meretz. Please join me in giving them a warm round of applause. Finally, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, especially members of the media and the diplomatic community. We even have the ambassador of us. Voting is probably the most important thing you can do in a democracy, and our hope give our speakers an opportunity to have their say in the true tradition of English debating societies. They may be adversaries in the political arena, but let's not forget that we are ultimately on the same side, Israel's. I'd like to read you one line from Eliakim Rubinstein, the chairman of the Central Elections Committee for the 19th Knesset, which I think is of crucial importance. I call on all citizens who are eligible to vote to exercise their democratic right on election in the State of Israel. Here are tonight's rules. I'm going to give each of our speakers strict present their party's platforms and try to persuade us why we should vote for them. We will then open it up to short, and I stress, short questions from the audience. There are mics, as Asher said, both upstairs and downstairs, and we ask that you form a line behind them once all the speakers have made their opening remarks. Finally, in reverse order, I will give each candidate 2 minutes to rebut, summarize, and conclude. We'll end the evening with the singing of Hatikva, and I hope to get you all home by 10 o'clock tonight. Without further ado, let me call on our first speaker, Yuli Edelstein, representing Likud Beitenu, a former refusnik and prisoner of Zion. He is the current Minister of Information and Diaspora Affairs, and has also served as Immigrant Absorption Minister and Deputy Speaker of the Knesset. Among other things, he established the parliamentary for resolving the issue of conversion in Israel. Cabinet Minister Yuli Edelstein.
Steve, thank you very much, and my friends here on the panel. We don't have a machine, we only have it in movies and books. But let's imagine that we are sitting here to January 2013, but rather January 4 years ago. There was a debate like that. And imagine for a second that I would be sitting here as a representative of the then Likud list. And I would start saying to you that during the coming term, the government under Netanyahu's leadership and our party would introduce free education from the age of 3, double the money given to soldiers who finish their army service, reduce by hundreds of % the prices of the cellular phones, change totally the infrastructure of the Israeli roads, and so on and so forth. I presume that with all the due respect to the tradition of Anglo-political debate mentioned by Steve here, some of you would get up and say, hey, get this guy out of here. What is he talking about? We're not children. But all these things now are a fact. The government under Netanyahu's leadership, and I stopped very soon. I could continue with the list of different achievements of the government. All these things have been done. I think with my limited experience of serving in 3 different governments, first Netanyahu's government, first Sharon government, and this government, that this has been one of the most efficient governments I've seen. Ministers were doing their job. By the way, not only the good ministers, not only Israel Beitenu ministers, I'm not trying to be too political, ministers who served in different offices did their job, and we all see the results. But having said all that, I think that the challenges are still numerous. And if we think for a second, even, we pick up today's newspapers, we look through different issues, through different articles. The challenges we are facing are really not. If we take the international arena, the international situation, everyone is talking about the pressure that would come after the elections, the different conflicts that we might have, even with Washington, to say nothing about the European Union. You know what? This might be true. This is not new. For the last 40-something years, we had different opinions with many countries. I'm talking about democracies. I'm talking about friendly countries around the world about, say, construction in this city, in Jerusalem, to say nothing of Judea and Samaria, or basically not to say nothing, about construction in Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria. For most of the countries around the world, it's absolutely the same. And yes, during the last 4 years, we had these difficulties and we were facing some challenges. And having said all that, look at the Peace Now report as of this morning. Construction has been going on in Jerusalem and in Samaria. And I think that right now, you look at the list of candidates, and it's absolutely obvious that the only candidate that is able to cope with the international pressure and still to act according to the Israeli interests and not because of the international pressure is obviously Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm not bringing you any breaking news on that. Now, if we talk about the issues that I've mentioned some economic or social issues, it's quite obvious that the economic challenges we are facing are still not simple. Yes, you know what, I can't explain that. How come that with everything European countries are going through, and yes, even United States is going through, how come that Israel is still safe in economic terms? We're not only, comparing ourselves to, no, I'm not going to badmouth any country, but the situation in Greece, Italy, or Spain. Let's compare ourselves to France or Britain.
1 minute, Julie.
Thank you. We are still doing not bad economically. But still, the challenges are great. We have to continue. And speaking of the problems we haven't solved, I'm well aware of the fact that there are such. Like, for example, housing. Different still social. We have to continue addressing. But in order to address them, we need an anchor in the future coalition. I don't know what the future coalition would look like. No one does. When people ask me, what are you planning for yourself during the next coalition? I always say, if you give me the exact number of the seats for Likud Beitenu, if you give me the exact number of the seats in the coalition, and what coalition partners demand, I'll probably answer your question. The same goes for the Prime Minister in the Likud. If we have a strong anchor party, and I think the Anglo audience understands the importance of it, and if we'll be able to build a coalition that will not be dealing with walking on a tight road for the next 3 or 4 years, but rather with the issues that we haven't solved yet, I think that there is a good chance that I will be proudly mentioning the achievements of the government under Netanyahu's leadership in 4 years from now, and we will have to think about what else to say, but rather what not to say, because the list will be long enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that very interesting opening, and I think there could be no one better to follow you than Yitzhak Isaac Bushi Herzog, the son of Ora and the late President Chaim Herzog, and the grandson of the great late Chief Rabbi Isaac Halevi Herzog. He's a lawyer by training, the chairman of the Labour Party faction in the 18th Knesset, as well as a member of the Parliamentary Law and Foreign Affairs Committees. He's become known for initiating a host of key laws, caucuses, and public projects. He has previously served as Cabinet Secretary, Housing and Construction Minister, and Minister of Tourism. Bushi Herzog.
No, I'm predominantly Minister of Welfare and Social Services for 4 years. That's my great pride, I must say. It's very proud of that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening to my friends on the panel. I'm very pleased to be here. I have very special moments in this unique and wonderful place of worship, which we all cherish and love. I come from the Labour Party, the party that has established the State of Israel. Today, Labour has gone out of its crisis and is the only real alternative to Benjamin Netanyahu. It is led by Sheli Yachimovic, fighter for social values and social justice, and summer of 2011. Our list comprises of people from all walks of life, a very impressive group of people who have contributed to the State of Israel in many fields, and I myself am very proud to be one of its top leaders. We believe that Israel must make a revolutionary step in closing social gaps in Israel. It cannot be that in the State of Israel, over 50% of people who are and only 1% of people who are employed earn over 50,000 shekels. There's something that needs to be done, and it cannot be the same system. We are talking about a fair distribution of the national wealth by way of allocation and taxation that it makes sense by reducing, by coming forward with a plan that returns the responsibility of the state to its citizens in all spheres of life, including education, health, welfare, and so forth and so on. We advocate, as we've always done, the necessity to move towards a two-state solution and towards preserving the need for a Jewish homeland with an unequivocal Jewish majority in a Jewish democracy such as Israel. And we think that stalemate in this respect, with all the problems that we have and the difficulties presented by the Palestinians, we must be proactive and must move forward. Most importantly, I think, we are presenting the only viable alternative in the political system right now to Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud. Netanyahu has failed dramatically on many fronts. Just this week, we were alerted that the national budget has a deficit of over 10 billion shekels, which was hidden from the public for months. And we know that some very extreme and harsh steps will be taken if Netanyahu assumes the role of Prime Minister again, once we have a totally different plan. Netanyahu has failed dramatically in the international arena, and the vote in the UN is just another reminder of his failures. We think that, unfortunately, the Hamas has gained out of it these steps, and unfortunately, our beloved United City of Jerusalem has been put again to the international debate by the same activities of Benjamin Netanyahu. The recent reports from the White House do not add to this at all. Rather, I believe that the people of Israel and those who are hesitating what to vote for need to think again before they opt for Netanyahu. They can opt for us. We offer a sane, centrist policy on all issues that will protect and preserve the state of Israel and that will advance it for a much better future. We believe it can be much, much better here if Labour leads the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Isaac Herzog of Labour, and I apologize to former Labour and Social Affairs Minister. Next up is the big surprise of this election, and someone completely different. Naftali Bennett is head of the Bayit TV of Jewish Home College. You seem to have big support on the left here. Born in Haifa, he is the son of parents who made Aliyah from San Francisco, and he served as a major in the Elite Sayeret Matkal. He then established a successful software firm, which he sold for a fortune. Served as Benjamin Netanyahu's chief of staff and as director general of the Yesha Settlers Council, as well as forming Israel Shali, the My Israel movement. Naftali Bennett.
First of all, it's great being here. My mom was deputy director of AACI in Haifa, so I've got a deep connection. I remember collating those bulletins before there were emails. I'm also very proud to tell you that we're the only party with Ole, an American Ole, in a realistic location in the list. That's Jeremy Gimple. And I do need to apologize in advance. I notified the organizers at 9 p.m. he's going to replace me, but I felt it important at least to come over. I think I'm the only party leader here. We care about the Ole a lot. I'll tell you a short story. There was Rabbi Aryeh Levin, was a big tzaddik. He was the rabbi of the undergrounds before, prisoners before the state of Israel was established. Anyway, sometime in the 50s, he was walking on the street, and he saw one of his former students, dressed as a soldier now, walking and coming towards him, and suddenly evading, crossing the street. And he didn't understand what's going on. So he said, come here, why are you running away from me? So this soldier, this tall, proud soldier, came over a bit awkwardly and he said, Rabbi, you know, I don't have a kippah on anymore. Now the rabbi was very short, and he said, you know, I am very short, I can only reach your heart. And what I see, I don't know what you have on your head. You have a kippah, you don't have a kippah. But what I see is a huge heart of a soldier in Tzva Agana Israel that's fighting for Israel. And that's all I care about. And apparently he was the godfather of Bougie Herzog. Amazing. So, this is what we're about. We don't see if you have a kippah or you don't have a kippah, whether you're Haredi, secular. Israel has real challenges that need real solutions that will get solved only if we remove the barriers between everyone, even between Jews and Arabs and Druze and everyone. We need to solve the problems. Just to give you a sense, the housing prices went up 40% during this last tenure of Netanyahu. It's very difficult for a young couple to finish the month in Israeli terminology, and we've got a 39 billion shekel deficit. So we've got some real issues to solve, but if we fight each other the whole time, we're not going to solve them. I was in a panel with Bougie, and he talked about his... And I found myself agreeing with 70% of what he said. So I figured let's agree to disagree on the 30% hint. It's about the Palestinian state. So we won't agree about that. But is that really the defining issue of Israel right now? Is that the only thing we need to fuss about? I think that we need to look in domestically, solve issues. And Minister Edelstein looked backward 4 years. Let's talk about looking forward for about 30 years. Let's talk about year 2040, what our vision is for Israel. I see a strong and secure Israel, still in a region that may be very difficult. We don't control the region. We don't control Iran or a radical Egypt, but a strong and confident Israel. I see 10 million Jews living in Israel. I see a deep connection that we don't have enough today, and I know that Yuli Edelstein did amazing stuff here with the Jews in the diaspora, and they look at us proud and view Israel, even if they don't live in Israel, they view Israel as their center and the Prime Minister of Israel as the Jewish leader of the world. I see Israel where people can go out and work and live with dignity. They don't have to be in a constant fight just to survive, which is the case right now. Even if a couple, both sides work, it's almost impossible to put any money aside, let alone buy a house. I see an Israel with full civil rights for everyone, and we work hard for that. We got to work hard to bring the Haredim into society, to bring the Arabs into society, but it all requires to put aside hate. Now, I don't want to wipe away the differences. There are differences. For example, the Likud, the Yesh Atid, etc., all support establishing a Palestinian state within the land of Israel. I vehemently oppose it. I think it would...
Okay. Even with the applause, one minute, Naftali.
1 minute to go. So I vehemently oppose it, but I do think it's time for a fresh approach. Let's try and reach out peace de facto in the field, not in Oslo, in Annapolis. They don't get it. We get it. There's 400,000 Israelis living in Judea and Samaria. There's 1.8 million Arabs. No one's going anywhere. No one's evaporating. So there's no big love in the air. But you know what? Things are starting to work out in the field. We work together. We drive on the same roads. We've got some similar problems. And we even shop in the same supermarkets from a few years ago. Now, we can ruin all of this by establishing yet another Muslim state in our midst, like we did in Gaza, and get another 100 years of misery. There are some differences, but I think there's more things that can connect us, and I'm very optimistic for Israel of 2040. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naftali Bennett. And like Naftali said, he will be replaced later on by Jeremy Gimpel. Dov Lipman of Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid, There Is a Future Party, is a rabbi ordained at the Near Israel Rabbinical College, and he has a master's from Johns Hopkins University. He has 3 published books about Judaism and is a frequent columnist for that great newspaper, the Jerusalem Post. He made Aliyah to Beit Shemesh with his family 8 years ago, and he has led the battle against religious extremism in the city. Rabbi Dov Lipman.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's really an honor to be in a room that just looking around the room, you see a room full of English-speaking immigrants like myself, people who are full of passion, Zionism, a love for the state of Israel, and there's no doubt for the future of the state of Israel and the direction that we're heading in. You take that seriously, I certainly take that seriously, and that's the reason why I'm standing here tonight as a proud candidate for Knesset for the Yesh Atid party, one of the two parties, by the way, that were willing to go to Beersheba and Haifa for the Jerusalem Post panels as well, just to mention that. We're here tonight because we believe that we can make our country better. We're not sitting at home and saying there's nothing we can do. We're here because we want to make a decision about who we want to vote for the Knesset of Israel. Now, the Knesset is a parliament. It's a place where you pass legislation and you get things done. It's not a place where you can just stand and wave your flag and talk about how proud we are. You should do that. It's not a place just for slogans. It's a place where you have to have a plan and get things done. Yesh Atid was started to get 5 specific things done. There's 5 things in our agenda. You'll see it in the flyers that you might have received, and they are as follows. First of all, in 2012, the State of Israel crossed the red line. 50% of the first graders this year in the country are either Haredi or Arab. I come from a Haredi yeshiva background. I have nothing against Haredim. Anyone who have read my works and my columns, I have nothing against Arabs. But how can we sit quietly if 12 years from now, as an ideology, 50% of the population don't view themselves as part of the greater society, don't, in the majority, serve in the IDF or serve the country, and don't join the workforce? There are so many issues with that, economically, in terms of the tax burden, society-wise, in terms of who we are as a people. It has to be addressed. And Yesh Atid has a plan called Sherut Shaveh L'Kulam. It's very specific, which says that everybody is going to be serving in the army or doing national service, at that point freed to go to the workforce, and we'll be one big nation together. And lo and behold, yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu embraced the plan and said, according to all the news reports, that he would absolutely work together with Yesh Atid's plan to make that happen. So let's applaud him for that as well. My role, even if I'm not elected into the Knesset, I'll be playing a major role in making that happen, working with all of my connections within the Haredi community, and we will make this plan happen. Number 2 is education. Israel today, we are 42nd in the world in science, 37th in reading comprehension, 48% of the students graduate high school with a Bagrut certificate. You have to look at your children and grandchildren and say, am I voting for a party which is going to improve their education? The Yesh Atid list is filled with educators, including myself, who have put together a plan for a complete overhaul in education, completely rethinking the way we do things to get Israel back to the top 10 in the world in 10 years. And Naftali, thank you so much. Shuli Mishalom yesterday sat next to me on a panel from Abide Yehudi and applauded our plan and said it's an excellent plan and people should support it. That plan includes, by the way, 2 changes in curriculum which have to be mentioned. Number 1, Haredim absolutely must have general studies. If in Lakewood and Chaim Berlin and Monroe and Satmar they have general studies, we can do it here. We will make it happen. I was surprised to hear a member of Knesset, Elkin from Likud yesterday, telling me that can't happen. We can make it happen. We can work with them. They will. But on the secular side, much more Zionism, much more Judaism. Everybody has to understand why we're here in this country. Housing, just gonna wrap it up, thank you. Housing, it costs a young couple today in Israel 127 monthly paychecks to purchase an average 4-room home, 11 years to save up. We have a plan to address that, including subsidies to IDF veterans and university students who are earning and giving back to the country. They will be helped buy a home. Monthly utility bills are impossible. We have a plan directly, without raising taxes or anything. The money's there by tackling the unions and the water corporations to give the money back to you so you can finish your month. And finally, electoral reform, which no one has mentioned yet, and changing the system of government. One last point, and that is unity. Unity does not mean a sectarian party saying, we'll reach out and welcome you. That's beautiful. Kiruv V'chokim is wonderful. That's not a party which represents everyone. The Yesh Atid list has from ultra-Orthodox through secular, not just an English-speaking candidate, but Russians and Ethiopians are also immigrants and deserve to have the representation. All of us working together. Yair Lapid a secular icon in Israel, reached out and said, I want to work together. And he named a religious Zionist rabbi as his number 2. It's time for the secular community to jump on board and for the religious community to jump on board. Let's work together. Let's make a great future for the Jewish people in Israel. Please, do your homework, study our plans, and you will see that the future of Israel is in our hands. If you vote Pei Hei on January 22nd next week, vote for Yesh Atid. I look forward to all of your questions.
Dov Lipman, Yesh Atid. Alon Tal made Aliyah at the age of 20 from North Carolina. He studied law at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, got his doctorate at Harvard. He's very active in leading environmental organizations and is a professor at Ben-Gurion University. He's chairman of the Green Movement that joined Hatnuah, the Tzipi Livni party. Professor Alon Tal.
Good evening. If we're going to flaunt our AACI credentials, I think I'm the only person on the panel who is a life member, and proud to be so. And it's good to be back here since I was a student at Hebrew University. I haven't been in the synagogue. But I do believe, I haven't been in this synagogue. I'm the Gabbai of Shalhevet Maccabim, and I'm there all the time. Now, there are times, friends, though, when tomorrow is not today, and there are damages which are irreversible, and there is such a thing as being too late. And that's the reason why I, as an active environmentalist, decided that it was time to break through the glass ceiling of civil society and do something for Israel's environment, and was one of the founders of Israel's Green Party. And that's the reason why Tzipi Livni returned back to politics, because she sensed, as I do, that we face a situation where if we don't seize the initiative, we are going to find ourselves in a situation where the potential for a two-state solution will be lost. Now, those who clap when Naftali Bennett expressed vehement objection to a two-state solution, you probably shouldn't vote for Hatnuah. However, if you hold the hope that we can at some point soon reach out and find a way to reconcile our differences with our neighbors, if you haven't given up on the dream of peace, which is a central element in Judaism, we pray every day for peace, you want to think about voting for Hatnuah, because in terms of the leadership, Tzipi Livni is the only leader in the center block with the qualifications, the vision, the experience to lead us to a peaceful resolution of our problems. Like me, she grew up in a revisionist and believes that we have a right to every inch of the West Bank. But like me, she knows, and I always yes, there's a grave. Here lies John Smith, who exercised all his rights. There's a reason why the governments of Israel never wanted to swallow the West Bank, whose demography is a lot higher than that which Naftali Bennett described. My numbers are much higher, and we know the birth rate. I came to Israel to live in a Jewish and democratic state. And by annexing the West Bank, which many people in Likud are calling for, we are going to create a situation where Israel will either be a Jewish state which imposes a sort of apartheid regime and doesn't allow full democratic rights to Arab citizens, or alternatively will become a state where there's not a Jewish majority. I say I'd rather live in a Jewish and democratic state. Thank you. The second point I'd like to make is, for those of us concerned about Israel's economic crisis and social gaps, we will never have progress unless we move forward with a peace process. The only time when we had progress environmentally in a significant way in this country, the only time education improved was in the mid-90s, when the late Prime Minister Rabin could throw in 7 billion shekels into the education system, quadrupled the budget of the Ministry of Environment because he could cut the defense budget. And with all due respect, the scenarios we hear, the defeatist approach, mean that we will be locked into a military commitment which will cripple our ability to bridge the social gaps. I also would like to say a word or two about Jewish pluralism. I grew up in a conservative community, I'm the guy of a conservative synagogue, and it bothers me that the majority of Jews in the world who are not Orthodox are finding themselves more and more alienated from their homeland. My daughter was the national president of Noam, the United Synagogue Youth of Israel, and to see her harassed by police, spit on by bystanders for wanting to wear a tallis at the Western Wall of the women's section was a trauma for me. And to see the marginalization of women in society, throwing them in the back of the bus, and the deafening silence of this government, which capitulated Orthodox interests, was a deep, deep discomfort to me. I hope that we could do better. Tzipi Livni, thank you. And Tzipi Livni is the only leader of the party who is not Orthodox. She doesn't. It's time that we have a government which recognizes that we should celebrate diversity in Judaism and open all the doors. And I hope that the rabbis who support the Yesh Atid movement will recognize my rabbis in the Massorti movement and give them a place at the table in making decisions about marriage and conversion and death, and not relegating us to the second-class status, which is the unfortunate reality today. I'd like to finally wrap up. I have to say a word about Israel's environment. With 800 people dying every year from air pollution, according to the Ministry of Environment, with our rivers a mess, with 382 wells closed in the last 4 years, we need a party that will put the environment on the center of the national agenda. Far more dangerous than security is the health impact of our pollution. The Torah from Tzipi Livni has adopted the Green Movement and made us part of her team. We're proud to be there. Consider voting for Hatzuah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. The Tzipi Livni party. It's time for a woman. Laura Wharton of Meretz was born and bred in the U.S. She received her BA from Harvard before moving to Israel. She served in the IDF, became a member of Kibbutz Kfar Blum for 10 years, and since then has lived in Jerusalem. She completed her doctorate in political science at the Hebrew University and is now an adjunct lecturer. She joined Meretz to help pass the public housing legislation, and since 2008 has served as a member of the Jerusalem City Council for Meretz. Laura Wharton.
Thank you, and good evening. It's nice to be here. I'm not a lifetime member of the AACI, so I guess the long time hasn't been there, but I am having a member, so it's very nice to be here. I want to talk a little bit about Meretz. Meretz is not a new party that just popped up. It was formed in 1992 out of 3 parties, but it has a very long history in a number of fields. But I want to make a few comments first and then try to speak a little bit about its platform. First of all, I'd like to remind everyone that the elections, as some people have mentioned here, are for the Knesset and not for the government. No one knows what the Knesset would look like, and only afterwards can we see what the government would look like. But Meretz ascribes great importance to the work in the parliament and legislating. And if anyone looks at any of the statistics on our party in the Open Knesset site or anywhere else, you can see we are #1 in a lot of the different agendas and a lot of the different measurements of legislation, because we're all politicians and proud to be it, people with an agenda, people with an ideology, and people who care about public service. I'll also say a word about, in continuation of what Alon Tal said about the two-state solution and our future. I certainly don't think that we should only be talking about foreign policy. Far from it. Most of my life I've devoted to domestic policy. But I think some people are living in an illusion that we can continue the current situation, the status quo. And I think people who look at the numbers and look at the situation, the international situation or any other, will understand that the status quo in terms of the territories is not viable. Naftali Bennett said something about 1.8 million Palestinians. That is not an accurate figure. The conservative figure is that there are 3.5 million Palestinians in the area that some people call Greater Israel. And I agree very much with what Alon Tal and some others have said here, that it is important for us to have a democratic Jewish state. Since 1917, we've had recognition from Lord Balfour and others that we need and deserve a state for the Jewish people, and I'm very proud we have one and very proud to serve it. But we're not going to be able to do that if our 8 million are trying to control 3.5 million, most of which hate us, most of whom hate us and do not want us to control them. And the best thing that we can do for our country and the country that I dearly love is to draw a border and work and focus our attentions on developing our country and leave them on the other side of the border. As Barak put it, I must say, Barak pretty well, we're here and they're there. And then we can develop our country, we can have stationed all of our soldiers on our border instead of having half of them policing the territories, and we'll have a much safer country that is democratic and Jewish, and a place that I think we can all be proud of.
One minute, Laura.
Excuse me? One minute. Okay. In 1 minute, then, I will try to mention the 4 most important things to our party. One of them is transparency and democratic performance. Meretz, unlike some of the parties here, has never had anyone investigated, tried, convicted for any crime. And we believe in clean government, and our members of Knesset have gotten all the possible prizes for that. Secondly, we believe in social justice. I think 2 of the best ministers of education the country ever had were from Meretz, and we're very proud of them, both Amnon Rubinstein and Yossi Sarid, and we also had Sholem Taloni. And we think that more should be done for social services, that more taxes should be taken from places like the companies that get 40 billion shekels a year of tax breaks and be fed into social services for everyone. A third thing that's important to us is restructuring the relations between state and religion. Dov, a friend of mine, we've worked on a number of things together, mentioned that topic. It's very important to us that all of the basic subjects studied in the standard national curriculum be taught in all the schools. And incidentally, that was point number 4 in what is called the letter of the status quo by Ben Gurion, and unfortunately, no one is paying any attention to it anymore.
Laura, you need to wrap up.
Okay, just to say one last thing, is defense. Obviously, what we want is a strong, safe country with internationally recognized borders. And unfortunately, we only have one of those today. We have a strong country, but it's not safe and it's not internationally recognized. And that is very sad and painful to me. And I believe and hope that we can change that. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura Wharton of Meretz. From left to right, Aryeh Eldad is chairman of Otzma Yisrael, Strong Israel. A physician by training, he served as chief medical officer in the IDF, reaching the rank of brigadier general. He later became a professor of medicine at the Hebrew University and head of the plastic surgery and burns unit at Hadassah Medical Center. He also heads, together with Zev Elkin, the Land of Israel Caucus, as well as the anti-corruption lobby. Aryeh Eldad.
Thank you very much. Good evening. As you've heard, I'm a plastic surgeon, but don't build up any expectations about aesthetic surgery. I only know how to treat burns. And I was chairman of plastic surgery at Hadassah University Hospital during Second Intifada. And after treating about 3,000 casualties, just another bus exploded in Jerusalem. And we ran to the emergency room, and I remember repeating in my head, preventive medicine. Now you all know preventive medicine is the best way to practice medicine. It's very good for infectious diseases, but what it has to do about terrorism, victims of suicide bombers. Well, I knew how to prevent the next stage of terrorism, the next war. But the road to do it didn't lead through my operating theater or my emergency room, and I had to do it through the Knesset, and this is what I'm doing in the Knesset. I'm doing preventive medicine. Every day I prevent the creation of a Palestinian state in my homeland. I belong to this kind of Zionists who believe that the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel and nobody else in the world. And therefore, this is what I do in the Knesset. It's not a full-time job. It's not very difficult recently. And after 11:30, I try to do some good things for the general public. But we are all frustrated because we do not have peace. And we all want peace. Why we're so frustrated? We are sure we have a territorial conflict with the Palestinians. And we try to divide the land between Jews and Arabs for the past 90 years, and each attempt ended up in a worse bloodshed than the previous one. Still, we keep trying the same recipe. If we were suffering from a sore throat and we were going to a physician and he would keep changing the antibiotics, we would certainly change the physician. But on this situation, we keep taking the same advice: divide the land, divide the land. And I'm telling you why we are so frustrated: because we misdiagnosed the disease. This is not a territorial war. This is a religious war. We are here because what's written in the Bible, not because Balfour Declaration or the 1947 UN resolution. We are here because God promised the land of Israel to the Jewish people.
Ari Odaka. Ari Odaka.
Odaka. Now, what the world wants for us, two small things, and I hate to be regarded as an extremist, so I'm all for it. They wanted us to end the occupation, and we must finish the Muslim occupation of the land of Israel, and they want two-state solution. And I remember the Palestinian already has a state in Jordan. Jordan is Palestine, and we do not want any other Palestinian state in the heartland of Israel. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister of Israel declared his support in the two-state solution. Unfortunately, Naftali declared already that he wants to sit in such a government. You won't find me there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ariel Dag of Otzma Yisrael, Strong Israel. Our final speaker tonight is Shem Tov Menachem, representing Shas in the international media. Born in Iraq, he now heads the Interreligious Dialogue Program on behalf of the United Nations in Israel, a founder and deputy mayor of a new town called Elad. He is also a founder of the Nachal Haredi and the Shachar projects for Haredim to serve in the IDF. Shem Tov Menachem.
Thank you very much, Steve. Dear President, audience, member of board, I'm usually starting with saying I'm number 2 in the list, but today I have a bit of problem. My mother-in-law, she's here. Then I'm the 3rd in the list at home. I'm proud to be here on behalf of Shas. Let me remind you all, ladies and gentlemen, we're all here today because the voting time, originally one, is not now. Shas refuse cutting benefits and destroying the bread of the people that at least could afford it now. This is why the voting time is now. And when I'm sitting here, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm planning to say a different thing, totally different things. But when I hear my friend here on board, they all sound like they are from Shas party. They're all really worried and scared, Steve, from the economical situation. There's social economic gap between the rich people and the poor people. And when I heard it, I said, where you been, all of you, in this election? Where you been when the budget been stopped thanks to Shas? And then, ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, let me remind you all, Shas is the bridge between the extremist Haredim from Mea Shearim. Shas is a bridge between the left-handed from the Israeli society. Let's remind you all, we all have a close family and relative that they are not religious, even not ultra-religious and not secular, they're all secular. Shas is a party that's come from the middle, the central of the heart of the Israeli society. For the last 3 decades we prove Shas is not a startup. We're not coming in now to the voting time as part of startup. We're not planning any exit. We're here to be sure to take care for the people that need our support. When all other parties on the 23rd of January going to fight for maybe for the next 4 years, is Abu Mazen is a legitimate partner for peace or not? We're going to be the one keeping what we promise you all. That you all going to keep happily, securely, with bread and even more than that. Could anyone here could explain how come a wonderful economy like Israel with over 3% growth when all Europe don't even dream about it? How come they could live happily? How come the bread and butter and the basic food not growing there? How come that could they have the same salary? How come we all have here? How come bread in Israel costs much more than Tesco? How come we pay for milk much more in Tesco? Does it make sense when average salary is, what is it here? A minimum salary is 4,000 shekel. Both parents earn 8,000 shekel. You all know how much is a renting of a property. The basic one in Jerusalem is 6,000 shekel. What people could live from. We all forgot what is it. There is two-state solution. I believe so, ladies and gentlemen. State for the rich people that live in Caesarea, North Tel Aviv, and there is a state for people in Yerucham, Beersheba.
Odaka.
Thank you, Steve. I'm sorry, I don't have the opportunity to talk about what I wrote in the list because I couldn't ignore what the people said here. Thanks to Shas, we have over 10,000 Haredi people in the academic world with a diploma. It's been established and started by the daughter of Rav Ovadia Yosef. She is the leader of that. She just graduated as doctor from Ben Gurion University. Is the people here on board going to tell you that? Thanks to Shas and people like me, we have Nachal HaCharedi. We have Shachar, all the program for Haredim in the army. We've been fighting for infrastructure for Haredim in the army to be there. Is anyone here going to tell you that? Friends, brothers and sisters, we have enough. You all came from abroad. I came from Baghdad, but I'm sure you all come from normal countries. We had enough to hear and to read about the Jews affecting badly the economy. And what we hear here is a Jews affecting badly the economy. All the professors around the world could tell you that's population running the economy faster and better. But here, I hear some member is getting scared stiff about the population of the ultra-Orthodox, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We don't have very much time for questions, so I'm going to urge you once again to keep them short and pointed, directing it at one of our speakers. But before we do that, I'd just like to introduce you to Jeremy Gimpel, number 14 on the Beit Yehudi Jewish Home List. He's been leading the party's campaign to target Anglo-Olim. He himself is an immigrant from Atlanta, Georgia, served as a platoon sergeant in Givati, and established the landofisrael.com channel, which broadcasts to 36 million viewers around the world. Welcome, Jeremy. Our first question, sir. Please speak up.
Thank you. Okay. A number of the speakers referred to Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. The question I have for each of the speakers is, number one, what does your party mean exactly by Jewish? And number two, how and by whom is Jewishness to be determined?
Okay, thanks for the question. We're going to ask our speakers to be as brief as possible. Please try to direct your question at one speaker, otherwise we'll be here all night. Let's start with you.
Yeah.
As quickly as possible.
Jewish state. by us, Jewish state is, of course, the reason why we're all here. One of the executive members here on board announced that the Bible is our tabah to be here. Yes, indeed, the Bible is the tabah for us to be here. Unfortunately, we are nearly at 10 wars in Israel since we're here. The same Bible is the one that's told us who is a Jew. Thank you.
Ari, do you want to just pass it along?
Yes, we believe that the state of Israel is a Jewish and democratic state, and it should stay like this forever. We believe that being a Jewish state is not only by the number of Jewish chromosomes in the country, but by the education, by inheritance, by the belief of the people, by the fact that the Tanakh will be the common denominator of all Jews in this country. And we believe that in order to keep Israel as a Jewish state, we believe that all the citizens of Israel should obey obligations, not only demand rights. Thank you very much.
Okay, Alon?
We believe that a Jewish state needs to have Jewish symbols, Jewish holidays, a Jewish spirit. But it is not a halachic state. We need a Jewish state that appreciates the great Jewish tradition of diversity and celebrates the opportunity for all Jews to pray to their God, observe their tradition in the way that they see appropriate, and that everybody should have a place at the table and feel comfortable.
Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, it was late Dr. Joseph Burg who, when asked about this Jewish democratic state, what is most important for him, he said the hyphen. And I think that this is exactly what the Likud Beitenu is about. I think that we can't try to separate the two. It's a Jewish democratic state, and as a ruling party, I think that we have, we're talking about the outgoing government, the government, or still serving government, if we are talking about the aspects of activities to improve the nature of the Jewishness of the state, that's exactly what we are talking about. Visits of students to Jerusalem, prayers on high holidays together in community centers and matnasim and other activities in order to strengthen the common denominator of those who live here in Israel.
There is a clear synthesis. We Labour believe that there's a clear synthesis between Jewish and democratic, and there is no contradiction. However, one needs to remember that a state is a modern, secular organism, and as such, of course, the basis of a state is that all members in the state, all citizens are equal, and we should make sure that they're equal. The public realm, of course, preserve Jewish symbols, the holidays, the language, the mere nature of the fountains that we all drink from of Jewish sources. Each one finds his or her way how to interpret and how to practice their own beliefs, and that's the way it should be. I must say that for us, social justice is derived directly from the sources of Judaism, and therefore we are very proud to, of course, to learn and follow in a lot of what's been written, even in the Bible, "Lo paros la'arav lachmecha." But when we come to modern times, of course, we have undertaken towards the world and to ourselves to make sure that everybody of all religion in Israel enjoys freedom of religion and all basic freedoms of human beings.
Thank you. Jeremy.
Is it working? Phew. It's a tough question to answer in just a few minutes, and that's why most of the answers here sounded almost exactly the same. But there's one party that's saying it's time to restore Jewish pride and Jewish identity in Israel. 50% of my soldiers had never visited Yerushalayim until entering into the IDF. Im ishkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. Why is the Bayit Yehudi the most popular party of these elections? Because we're talking about restoring Jewish pride, Jewish identity, being proud of being a soldier in the IDF. Yes, it's a democracy, but it's a Jewish democracy. And it's time that we be proud about being Jewish again.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I would certainly vote for Jeremy to be regional head of my NCSY board, that's for sure. Not sure what it has to do with the Knesset. The question is a very good question. We cannot separate religion and state in Israel. We have to have Shabbat as the day of rest of the government for sure. We certainly have to have kashrut in the IDF and all of those important symbolic points, but we should absolutely separate religion from politics. We absolutely... Yesh Atid believes in the core Jewish value of Bechira Chavshit, of free will. I believe passionately about my orthodoxy. I've written about it, I've taught about it. I'd love to have a debate with people about it, but I can't force it on anyone. And most importantly, Israel has to be the home for all Jews and all people who come from Judaism. And if Russians were persecuted in Russia because there they were viewed as Jews, how can we persecute them when they've come here because we view them as non-Jews? And it's time to find halachic ways to convert them as well. And it's the home for Ethiopian Jews, and I can't sit quietly and not pass legislation to deal with the racism and discrimination which our fellow brothers and sisters from Ethiopia are dealing. That's also a Jewish state.
So, please finish.
And one last point, I'm sorry. Unity. The unity of the Jewish people. Every source that we have about Geulah is not from this solution or that solution, it's from unifying together, and there's one party which represents everyone together on the list, representing all of Am Yisrael, and that is why I believe it's truly, truly the true Jewish party.
All right, thanks. Laura, as quickly as you can.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd just like to point out, I think, an interesting historical mistake that was made. When Herzl wrote his book, what's called The Jewish State, it was actually called Der Judenstaat, the State of the Jews. And I think that's an important thing to remember, because I don't think Israel was ever meant to be, and I don't think it should be, and I don't think it is a state of halacha, of Jewish law. It's a state for the Jews. I think that we should be very proud of the revolution that Zionism brought about in developing Jewish culture, artists, dancers, singers, music, and we've done a wonderful thing that we should be proud of, including developing Jewish tolerance and Jewish qualities that are part of our history. In terms of practical matters, I would say, though, that on the one hand, of course, our party believes in upholding the laws that already exist since the status quo about respecting the Sabbath and the holiday and the symbols, as Alon Tal mentioned, but that it certainly shouldn't be something that the state should be running, that it shouldn't be forced. I don't think religion is something, according to Judaism and according to my understanding of it, is something that can be forced upon anyone. And I think it's a terrible tragedy that 10,000 couples a year, Israeli couples, get married abroad because they feel that they can't or are really unable or feel uncomfortable with being married under the current religious establishment. So I think that we should foster Judaism, but foster it as a pluralistic foster it in a pluralistic way, recognize other streams, and encourage the positive side of Judaism and not just the part of religious coercion.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, please keep it short, sir.
Question for Alon and for anyone else that would like to answer. Prime Minister Netanyahu drew a red line at Iranian nuclear weapons capability, not at actually achieving a weapon.
Your question, sir.
Where does your party stand with regard to such red line?
Okay, Alon.
Our party is a centrist party which believes we need a strong Israel. And a strong Israel means that you have to get the world on your side when you want to deal with a challenge as considerable as Iran. And therefore, clearly, Israel cannot tolerate the presence of a nuclear Iran, but clearly, we don't have the ability to have a surgical airstrike and take it out ourselves. So our ability to address this existential threat is completely dependent on our relationship with the Obama administration, with the EU, and the like. And if anybody thinks otherwise, then they should talk to some of the generals and the heads of the security services who have spoken otherwise. So let's say no to Iranian presence and yes to an international effort to stop.
All right, thank you very much. Your question.
Yes, I was born in Egypt, and I'm a stateless refugee, a Jewish refugee from Egypt. My name is Yosef Yom Tov.
Your question.
My question is, I've been denied citizenship for 13 years, and I want to know who is going to stand up for my rights as being a Jew. My mother's Luna Levy, my father's Abraham Yom Tov, and I'm just wondering which of you gentlemen are willing to stand up for Yosef Yom Tov's right to live in Israel with his family, since I've been denied by Shas political party.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Does somebody have an answer?
Mr. Herzog.
I didn't get it. Did you speak about the fact that you are an immigrant from Egypt, or did you speak about something else?
I'm an immigrant from Egypt, and I've been denied citizenship for 13 years here. I'm a stateless person. I have no citizenship anywhere in the world.
No, sorry, because I thought the answer has to do, the question has to do with the restitution of properties of Jews from Arab countries, which we have, of course, in our platform.
What about Jeremy
With respect
Gimple?
to citizenship and your personal case, where none of us can answer on something we don't know about.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's not really the forum for that kind of question. Toby Willig, you're next. Go ahead.
Well, for those parties who staunchly have advocated a two-state solution, what would you do to make Abbas come to the table? What do you want to give him so that he would come back to negotiate?
All right, good question, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I want to say something about a huge vote of claps to Ari Eldad before, who said that Jordan is the Palestinian state. May I caution all of you against this, and may I say this is broadcasted and aired, and when people cheer for something they have no clue about and its consequences to the regional stability and to the peace process with Jordan, I think people need to have a second thought at least before they clap without understanding what we're talking about.
All right.
The Hashemite kingdom of Jordan is a partner of ours, and then with respect.
The most important question was ignored. Okay? Jews are being redefined.
All right.
I'm being told I'm not a Jew because of what is in my mind.
If you stay, we're going to answer in the closing statements. A few of us will answer it. If you please stay, we will answer it.
I don't know. Can I ask you? I asked.
Now wait, with respect to Abbas. The problem is, of course, I agree.
No, I asked what you advocate to bring him to the table, not what he wants, what your party wants to give him so that he'll come
May
back.
I answer,
That's clear.
The answer lies in two things. First of all, the clear understanding that Abbas has made many mistakes and has refused, unfortunately, in my mind, to go and sit down with Benjamin Netanyahu, and I say honestly, that was a major error on his behalf, and I think it only strengthened Netanyahu's case and made the issues more complicated. However, the problem is that there's a difference between what Netanyahu is willing to go forward and what the world is willing to accept, including Abbas. We believe in the Clinton parameters of December 2000. President Clinton's parameters of December 2000 are the only possible venue when it comes to the two-state solution. And if they're accepted by Prime Minister Netanyahu and by the Palestinians, it will be a victory for Zionism, because my friend here, Gimpel, who lives in Gush Etzion, a place which is really dear to my heart, will finally live in a place that is fully controlled and Israel has full sovereignty on. Otherwise, we may, God forbid, at the end of the long process, even lose Gush Etzion. This I don't know. I don't want. And that's why we believe that Israel has to be proactive in the international community and come forward with a proposal which is based on the Clinton parameters.
Okay, thank you. Ari Eldad wanted to make a comment.
In other words, we should go.
I'm sorry, Toby, that's the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a remark about the situation in Jordan. It won't help us whether we want it or not. The one who said Jordan is Palestine and Palestine is Jordan was King Hussein, not myself.
All right, we have a question from a young man in the front.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Miller. I made Aliyah close to 5.5 months ago, and I plan on serving in the IDF soon. I come from the United States of America with a country where people fight over taxes all the time. This is to Mr. Edelstein. In this past government, the Netanyahu government raised the VAT tax and by 1%, and gas prices have been raised, and yet the corporate tax remains the same. When will it be a time where regular Israelis who drive a car and where a VAT tax really 120% of cars really affects them, when will a real solution to these problems come? And when will the corporate tax come up with these guys making millions and millions of shekels where people here can't even live properly? It's ridiculous.
Really.
Thank you. First of all, I think that last time I checked, the gas prices went down. The only problem is that when they went up, it was the headline in all the newspapers. When they've been gradually going down, for some reason, it was less of the news. But, we weren't going to press coverage of different government activities. On a more serious level, I would say that there is a serious debate about corporate tax, and there are different opinions. I don't happen to be professor of economy, but I've been witnessing and listening to all these debates, and some say that the very socialist approach of taxing and overtaxing, the French style, what is happening in France in the last several months, especially corporate tax, and those who basically create new jobs, is a little bit counterproductive. This government, in the meanwhile, created about 350,000 new jobs in this country, and I liked very much listening to those who were talking about people who are working and they're still poor. This is nice talk, because economically speaking, in this case, the question is how come that on one hand 350,000 new jobs were created, and on the other hand the minimum wages went up. This is something against all economic odds, but it still happened because of the economic policy. And you're absolutely right, there are certain questions that have been discussed. I'm not sure that in every case the decision was right, like with VAT, for example, that I personally consider regressive tax because it falls the same on everyone. Some people disagree with me. The new government, if there will be strong ruling party under Netanyahu's leadership, will continue definitely economic reforms. Thank you
very much. Gentleman behind you, sir.
My question is to Mr. Yudeli Edelstein. With all the thousands of units that Mr. Netanyahu promised to build, what guarantee do we have that after the pressure is off, after the elections, maybe not the day after, but maybe a month after, or 2 months after the election, how do we know that Mr. Netanyahu won't capitulate to the Americans like he's done before?
I couldn't hear the question.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. But
should I repeat the question?
Yes. Yeah, it was impossible to understand the question.
Sir, we're going to ask you to leave, please. Okay. All right. We didn't hear your question, sir. If you can repeat it briefly.
Okay, it's to Mr. Yudeli Edelstein. With all the thousands of units that Mr. Netanyahu signed, that he agreed to build in Yehuda v'Shamron, what guarantee do we have that after the pressure is off, a month after the election, Mr. Netanyahu won't capitulate to the Americans and cancel it, just like we've seen before?
Okay.
As briefly as you can, Yuli.
Absolutely. I'll do the strangest thing possible. I'll quote Peace Now. This morning, Peace Now published a report saying that for the last 3.5 years or 4 years, and they have specific numbers, there has been construction in Judea and Samaria. It has nothing to do with elections. Today, a number of units, 186 units, have been approved in Efrat and Kiryat Arba. I'm happy about it as a neighbor of both Efrat and Kiryat Arba. But having said that, the majority of the construction in Judea and Samaria didn't happen during the last months. It was happening during the last 4 years, and it will continue after the elections. Thank you.
Okay.
Still it may.
Go ahead.
Still, it makes me very sad we don't have elections twice a month.
Okay.
Because you don't have primaries in your parties, that's why you're so not cautious.
Go ahead.
Hi, John Kagan with Megama Yeruka, one of the 15 environmental organizations that last week sent a letter to all the parties.
Okay, speak up.
We asked our environmental parties, 15 environmental organizations last week, sent letters to all the parties saying that we want, as part of the campaign process, to hear your views on energy. It's one of the basic elements of the society that is important for our security, it's important for our cost of living. Okay. Israel has large gas resources.
We get the question.
But we don't hear anything. So the question is, can anyone answer how they want the country to look in 40 years and how they want to preserve those gas resources?
Does anyone have strong views on energy? Alon Tom.
I come from Ben Gurion University, and I always ask, what would Ben Gurion have done were he today dealing with energy policy? And he would have said, we need a vision that says Israel should be the first carbon neutral, energy independent country in the world. We have so much sun. It is a disgrace that when Germany is getting 26% of its energy from solar power, Israel has less than 1%. Every government has promised it, and there's never been follow through. So what we need to do is not just talk the talk, we need to walk the walk, make incentives, tax benefits, so that we change the infrastructure to one that is based on renewables and not one that is addicted to fossil fuels.
Okay, so very brief.
About governments not following, I would just, Steve, with your kind permission, make a comment. 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago to be more accurate, my government, Netanyahu's government to be more exact, created a committee under Professor Eugene Kandel, the economic advisor to the government, with professionals working specifically on that issue. Last Sunday, we heard a progress report for them. I'm very optimistic about alternative energy in this country. Thank you.
If you go to yeshatid.org.il, you will see a plan that says Yeshatid Leichut Sviva. You can see a full plan for alternative energy and other environmental issues as well.
All right, go ahead.
If I may, I'd just like to say that Meretz is the same thing. We have a whole section of our platform dealing with environmental issues and energy. Minister from Meretz was the first minister for environmental matters in the country, and we've continued to lead environmental matters in every aspect, as well as within the legislature.
Just like to say, the Jerusalem Post also has the environment is one of the issues we cover. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My question is for Yuli Edelstein. It is, why wasn't the full levy report made available in English, and what do we have to do to get it?
Why wasn't the levy report translated into English? Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that. I'll check, and I think it's very important that the levy report should be published, because there is a lot of misconception about what levy report has in and what it doesn't.
We need the whole report translated into English.
Okay.
Thank you.
I sit corrected. I'll look into it.
I think the question is, why wasn't it translated into English? The question is, why didn't Prime Minister Netanyahu adopt it? That's the real question. As soon as Prime Minister Netanyahu was elected, he called for a two-state solution. He froze building in Judea and Samaria and East Jerusalem. We elect a right-wing government, and they always break left. There's only one party that's saying, we are the right. We're not in the center. We're against a two-state solution. You know exactly what you're voting for. And we're the only ones that's going to make sure that Netanyahu doesn't break left next time. That he will stay to the right, adopt the levy report, build in Judea and Samaria. There's one party that says so. Thank you.
Okay.
Will the Habayit Yehudi?
1 second. Just a short remark. Yesterday in Haaretz, Naftali Bennett said, we are not right, we are center. Yes. And would you put the levy report as a precondition to your entrance to the coalition?
Yes. The other question is, will the Bayit Yehudi enter into a Netanyahu government which is pursuing the two states, two people? If that's what you believe in, that's your flag, that's your passion, make the statement. We will not sit in a government which pursues that. Will you make that statement?
All right.
So far we've seen Beit Yehudi run into the government, not Beit Yehudi, Yesh Atid run into the government without preconditions, so I think you have to take it easy.
Jeremy, let him have a say.
Sure, well, they're all attacking the Beit Yehudi. It's exciting for me. So here's the issue.
Yesh Atid.
I really appreciate Dov Lipman. For years he was with Amsalem, he was with On the Right, trying to really help Israel, although now he's with Yair Lapid. But Dov Lipman is not Yair Lapid. And Dov Lipman is not Ofer Shelach, who's in the top leadership of Yair Lapid's party, who called Israel after the pillar of defense a bloodthirsty country. Just type into Google Yair Lapid settler and see what Yair Lapid says. In fact, today, Yair Lapid said that building in Efrat is endangering the state of Israel. So know who you're voting for when you vote for Yair Lapid, as Yair Lapid is left of Tzipi Livni.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Folks, I promise to get you out of
So
here.
will you sit in the government or not? The question was not answered. If you do not believe with passion in the two-state solution, you believe with passion, you should vote for Ariel Eldad and Otzma Yisrael.
All right. Sorry, Laura wanted to make a... Before the microphone completely breaks up, yes.
If I don't know, is it working out? Okay, I just want to say quickly that maybe if you look at the prime ministers, if it was Begin, Sharon, or Olmert that started in the right and moved left, maybe they just moved left because they got older and wiser.
Okay.
That's what I promised you all before. They're all going to fight at the next government on these issues, and we're going to take care for bread and butter.
Folks, I promise to get you home by 10. I'm sorry for all the speakers who didn't have a chance to ask a question. I'm going to give each of our candidates now 2 minutes to wrap up, starting with you.
I have a question. I have a question.
I'm sorry.
That I prepared for 2 days.
I'm sorry.
I wrote it down in Korea.
I'm sorry. Please sit down.
That none of these people would
Please do not shout and sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down. Sir, please sit down. Please sit down. Okay, please can you all sit down?
Of course you'd have to shut me up.
Yeah, right. I tried.
The only one who
Please sit down. Okay.
For years now.
It always helps in Israel to just shout louder than the other person. All right. All right. All right, thank you very much.
How to shut me down.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to give each speaker now 2 minutes to wrap up. Please keep to 2 minutes. All right, go ahead.
This is fantastic. Weather outside is freezing cold, and here is warm in the Middle East. We are in the Middle East, ladies and gentlemen. Brothers and sisters, I think this is the best show around. This is the best show. This is incredible. What a lovely audience here. Steve, you are fantastic. You've been in Golani before. Yes, you all need to. Everybody here before said that he's been in the IDF, and I feel a bit that I need to maybe apologize. I've been in the IDF, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to be so. My father served the country at least for war. And please God, we never have any war again, and we don't need so.
That's
I would like to ask my member of board here, the executive staff here, they're all into my right. Please promise the voter here that you're not going to put the VAT up for the basic product. Please promise us that the Arnona is not going to be up. And not the water bill, as now we all have a fantastic rain, thanks to God. The core issue of this state, when we have 1.8 million poor people in Israel, this is nearly a third of the population. The core issue is how we manage tomorrow, how we keep living tomorrow. And when at the previous voting at 2009, they all promised peace and security. This one said security, the other one said peace. And I'm sorry to upset you all. Maybe you read the newspaper. There is no peace and there is no security. In this case, we are the only one that's going to be restricted to you, dear audience. For every citizen of Israel, it doesn't matter if it's a Muslim, Christian, Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox, even not immigrator from the South Africa. We're going to be, in the next government, please God, being sure to support you. Please don't forget to vote for Shas.
Thank you. Shem Tov Menachem. Ariel Dad.
I'm sorry, I'm muted.
You've heard so much criticism about the situation in Israel. And I remember what my late father told me. What's the difference between Matovu Ohalecha Yaakov and Am Naval Velo Chacham? Matovu Ohalecha Yaakov said Bil'am. And Am Naval Velo Chacham said Moshe Rabbeinu. How come? Bil'am had the perspective. He said it from far away. Moshe Rabbeinu was within the tents. He saw all the troubles, all the complaints, all the harpaz affairs, everything. We need a perspective to see the move forward for the Jewish people that we are making in this state of Israel. And we have to remember that while we criticize the government and while we want so much more from the government, we are part from this giant, historic, unprecedented move of the redemption of the Jewish people. We are proud to be part of it. And even though we sound pessimistic, we are not. We are sure we have great future. And for the next elections, I know that Netanyahu will create the next coalition, whether he have 35 seats or 37 seats. I know that Naftali Bennett will be part of his coalition, whether they will have 14 seats or 15 seats, but you need strong Otzma Israel in the Knesset to make sure that we keep our promises to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Alon Tal.
I moved to Israel, and a month later I was drafted into the Israeli army, served in the paratroopers, and fought in the Lebanon War. And now, some 25 years later, I find that my eldest daughter is an officer in the army, and my youngest daughter is now also in a special unit. I don't mind, I'm proud of them. My wife doesn't sleep as well at night as she used to, but I'm happy as long as I know that the government of Israel is doing everything it possibly can to reach an accord with our neighbors, to pursue a process of peace. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. So if you are in that 67% of Israelis who believe that a peace process is possible, yesterday Tzipi Livni had a press conference which she outlined in detail. And for those who feel that this is a chimerical, illusory dream, read Condoleezza Rice's autobiography and see just how close we came. So I would say if you believe that a peace process is possible, there's one party with a leadership with the experience and the commitment. The Labor Party has some very good ideas, but its leader has called it peace now, her Feiglin. She's done everything she can to evade a commitment to this basic existential issue. We made our problems, we made our environmental problems, we can solve those. Let's see if we can't solve the problem with our neighbors so we can give Israel and our children a real Jewish state and a real life that they can enjoy.
Thank you, Alon Tal. Thank you. Yuli Edelstein.
Thank you. It was really nice Anglo debate. Anyway, I'm not going to make promises because the problem is that if Netanyahu forms the next government, I'll have to really give you a report on the progress about the promises I've made, as opposed to probably some parties that even won't make it into the Knesset. But what I want to say on a more serious note is that this debate or this discussion was really mind-boggling, because when people say, like my good friend and neighbor Jeremy says, we are talking about the values, and then gives this terrible example of half of his soldiers in his unit never visiting Jerusalem before joining IDF. That's exactly what this government is doing. We had last year 3 times as many students, high school students, visiting Jerusalem than in the previous years. And I think this is something that really is
the red line of this discussion. We are talking about energy and what will be your solution. This government for the last 3 years has been working in it. We want to bring peace. We want to make all these wonderful things happening in the Middle East. We are not selling dreams. If peace will ever come, it will come under a leader like Benjamin Netanyahu, and it will come according to the formula of the late Ronald Reagan, who said peace through strength. And I'm very personal on it, because if it were not for that formula those days, I would probably still be sitting in a cell in the Soviet prison, and there would still be Soviet Union, and there would still be less million Jews in this country, because appeasement didn't work then, and appeasement is not going to work in this area. I'm absolutely sure that in order to continue, for us to continue doing things we've been doing, we need strong Likud B'Teinu. And whenever I hear people saying, okay, Netanyahu will be next prime minister, now whom shall I vote for? I wonder, did he win a tender or something for prime ministership? He'll become prime minister only if people come next Tuesday and vote for Likud B'Teinu, put Machal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next Wednesday. Buzzi Herzog.
For all those who are looking for a different alternative for the state of Israel, there's only one party that can form a government. We're short of 7 seats, 25 mandates, and we will form the government. There are 25% of the population who hasn't decided yet what to vote for, an unprecedented number. There are over 10 mandates that are going to be wasted on small parties who will not cross the threshold. Do not waste your votes, and all those who care for a different future for Israel should vote for Labor. We will change the economic social platform in this country. For all of you who I know volunteer and contribute and care and wonder how come there is 20% poverty in this country, how come so many people are seeking food, how come so many elderly do not have a shelter, and how come the middle class is being crushed? We're the only ones who offer a different alternative from the social democratic viewpoint that we hold and we present based on the best of experts in this country. And of course, we will be proactive in trying to reach peace in a careful, in a thought of manner. We will do our best to bring Israel a much better future. We can do it. Believe me, we have the best team to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Buzzi Herzog. Jeremy Gimpel.
I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is a fantastic Prime Minister. I wish Yuli Edelstein was the Prime Minister, but I think Benjamin Netanyahu has done a fantastic job. The only way to truly strengthen Prime Minister Netanyahu is with a strong Beit Yehudi. The international pressure that Israel is about to face with Hagel as the Minister of Defense and another 4 years of the Obama administration is going to be unparalleled. Only a strong Beit Yehudi, where Bibi Netanyahu can then say, listen, I really would like to help you, but there's Naftali Bennett and Jeremy. They're not letting me. That's the only way that he will be able to withstand the international pressure. A strong Beit Yehudi alongside the Likud is the only way we will be strong, we'll be safe. Why are there so many other parties? Never before in Israel's history have there been so many mitlabtim, people that don't know who to vote for. What Isaac Herzog just said now. Because there's no difference between these parties. Meretz, Yesh Atid, Avodat, Tzipi Livni, what's the difference? There's no ideology, it's just about chairs. There's one party that has real ideology. And we're going to make Israel a beautiful country alongside Prime Minister Netanyahu. Thank you very much.
Dov Lippman.
My dear friends, God gave us a beautiful country, and for the last 30 years, we've been fighting left versus right, and in the process, our beautiful country has decayed from within. I saw that firsthand in Beit Shemesh last year, as we had literally little girls in the street over 4 months being verbally assaulted on a daily basis. The Prime Minister, for political reasons, didn't help us. The Minister of Public Security from Israel Beiteinu, for political reasons, didn't help us. The Mayor of Beit Shemesh from the beautiful Shas Party didn't help us. And what did we do? A group of passionate citizens who love this country and passionate Zionists stood up and we took care of it, and we solved the problem, and we solved the problem within our city. That is what Yesh Atid is standing up to do. No one tonight has talked about a comprehensive education plan. No one tonight has talked about electoral reform and talked about reducing the size of our government from this mammoth government to what it should be. No one has really talked about tackling equality in national service so that everybody serves and that everybody contributes in the workforce and they're one nation together. There's one party to vote for to attack all of these issues. We have a plan for every one of them to tackle them within the Knesset with legislation, and that is Yesh Atid. The list in Yesh Atid includes people with security backgrounds. Yaakov Perry, who's the former head of the Shabak, Miki Levy, the former police chief of Yerushalayim, successful mayors, successful activists in all kinds of realms who came together and said, it's time for us to work together. And one last point about a political reality. Right now, Yesh Atid is polling around 12, 13 seats. The reality is, if you study the political map, your options right now on the table are a Likud Beitenu, Bayit Yehudi, Shas, and Degel HaTorah government, or you can put the hands, the moderate hands into the government, the ones who will make the government move forward without the influence of Shas, which has been systematically doing so many things to hurt the country over the last few years. We could have a government where we work together, but it can only happen if you put Po into the ballot box. Pay hey, because we're here to serve you. All of us came from outside the political realm to make a difference. Banu l'shanot, the future of Israel is in all of our hands. Please join us and let's make Israel the great country that it can be.
Dov Lipman. Okay, our final candidate tonight, Laura Wharton.
Okay. What I'd like just to suggest to you is that each of you think what kind of country you want to see. I know my first really worrisome sign from the current government was when I saw how it was formed. There were 30 ministers. The US government has 15. I think that says something about the way the government is being run now. It's full of corruption and deals and people misrepresenting what they're doing or what they mean to do. I think we have to think about whether we want a country that has international support, that employs its armies along a border, that is recognized and agreed upon, that has international backing, so that our soldiers, it'll include shortly my children as well, will be positioned along a border and not policing 3.5 million Palestinians. I think everyone here has to think whether it really makes sense, and I hear from the responses here that a lot of people don't particularly like the Palestinians, and frankly, they're not my best friends either. But the question is, if you prefer and if you care about a Jewish democratic Israel, if you want to cultivate our country as it was founded, or if you want to force into it and include 3.5 million people that don't want to be there, that you apparently don't want there either. I think what we should be thinking about is what kind of country we want to form on borders that can gain international recognition. And I hope that people, before they vote, will do their homework and look, for example, at the kind of people who are in the Bayit Yehudi. You have there people on the list in a real place, a person named Rabbi Dov Lior, who says that Jewish and non-Jewish
is not connected to the Bayit Yehudi, but rather to Otzma Israel.
Okay. Laura, finish
he says there that Jewish and non-Jewish blood is different. In the Bayit Yehudi, you have people who said that Baruch Goldstein, a mass murderer, is a holy person. So I don't know, I hope that you look these things over, and I hope that if you want, whether it's a strong Israel of type A, B, or C, you make sure that the people who are going to represent you are people you are proud of.
All right,
the last thing I just want to say is that what I hope for is that Israel will use its strength to take some initiative. We'll read and respond to the Saudi initiative from 2002 that no one has responded to. We'll look at the Clinton plan, or better still, we'll take some other initiative,
Okay,
and we'll do something instead of fighting cat and mouse games along our borders. Someone needs to think big, think about what kind of country we want, and get us there. Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll agree that we had all the elements of a great debate tonight. I'd like to thank all our speakers on your behalf. Please give them a warm round of applause. And we're going to conclude the evening with Rabbi Zev Lanton. Please stand for the singing of Hatikva.
Just before we sing Hatikva, I remind everyone, turn your cell phones back on. There are a number of different exits, as you could see, so you don't all have to converge on one exit. Choose the exit of your choice. You'll all get out and get home safely. One thing that's really nice, no matter what we have to say, we all sing the same song, Hatikva. Kol balevav pnima nefesh yehudi
Well, it was fun. Oops. All right? Nice, close. תודה רבה.
Perfect. תודה רבה.
תודה רבה.